Hey everybody, it's Dr. Smith here. I'm just checking in. Everybody doing okay out there? I hope so. Now, I want to talk a little bit about reopening the country or reopening the economy. As a small business owner, I want everything to be open like yesterday, okay? But we need to be cautious and we need to be smart. I know that may not be the most popular opinion right now. People with certain philosophies, people with certain political beliefs, this ain't politics, folks. And certain cable news networks don't agree with me. Some friends and colleagues in the natural healthcare community think I'm a heretic because I'm not treating this as the average overhyped flu season. This is not the flu. But it's not Captain Trips, Tube Neck, or the super flu either. In other words, it's not the apocalypse, okay? Here's the deal. As a chiropractor, I believe in innate intelligence and that removing subluxations will maximize your body's performance and health within the limitations of matter. That's principle number 24 if you're a chiro geek. Now, as someone certified in nutrition, I believe that proper diet and lifestyle will improve your health and boost your immune system. As someone with a biochemistry degree, I actually understand the mechanisms of exactly how vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, and other nutrients can be used to fight this virus. But that's not where we're at right now. We need to make sure that people that do get sick from this virus don't overwhelm the hospital system. I've said it before and I'll say it again. What happens to the guy who has a heart attack or the woman whose appendix bursts and the hospital's full up with COVID-19 patients? What if there are not enough doctors or nurses on duty because so many of them are sick? I'd like to show you something. I saw this online and I've recreated it. Let's take a look. Let's draw ourselves a graph. I like graphs. Can you tell that my father was a math teacher for 38 years? Now, along the bottom line is time, and along the left, the vertical axis, is the number of new cases of COVID-19. This first curve is a representation of how the virus spreads. This is a very common graph. We know this from other viruses similar to this one and the early data on this virus, that viruses spread exponentially. They do not slow down until they have either infected everyone, or the virus has mutated and weakened, or the host develop what we call herd immunity. Simply put, this means that enough of the herd has gotten the virus and survived or died that the virus doesn't really have enough vulnerable hosts left to keep spreading, and it dies off as well. But that's what the curve of this type looks like. Once it gets rolling, it goes up, and it goes up fast. Next, we look at the green line. This is what a virus curve spread can look like when prevention and precaution efforts, such as the shutdown, quarantining, social distancing, and now masks in public, are put in place. Again, we know this from experience that this can work. Not always, not perfectly, but usually. Note where the effects start working. Not immediately, but over time, those efforts slow the spread and the curve starts to flatten and go down. Now, in some cases, the plateau on the green curve may be much longer, but it will eventually go down. Just after those efforts start working, when we're in the plateau stage, that's when we get a warning. Why a warning? Because that's when the numbers start to slow, plateau, or even dip slightly. And everyone wants to go, yay, it's over, let's get back to normal. You even get the naysayers starting to say, see, it wasn't that bad, we overreacted. And they begin to blame the people who helped flatten this curve in the first place. That's where we're at right now. I can assure you that if we remove the prevention and precaution efforts too soon, that green curve will very likely, very quickly bend up towards the red one. How do I know that? It's happened before. This is a representation of flu cases during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Ooh, but you said it wasn't the flu. Yeah, I know, wise guy, but they're similar enough in how they spread that this graph is applicable. By the way, did you know that the Spanish flu started in the United States? And because it began during World War I, the powers that be decided to name it after a neutral country so as not to incite the warring populations. Anyway, you can see how the curve started, when first interventions were enacted, and when they started working. Look familiar? Now, what happened next? The interventions were removed. There was a second, even higher spike in virus deaths, killing even more people than the first spike. Why were the interventions removed? First of all, deaths were slowing. People were getting cabin fever. They were sick of the restrictions. And oh, yeah, Armistice Day occurred. For you youngsters, we now call that Veterans Day. World War I ended on November 11th, 1918, and everybody wanted to go out and celebrate. Those celebrations killed a lot of people. Today, I feel something similar will happen if the Liberate movement gets their way. Heck, at the time I'm making this video, Florida just reopened their beaches even though their curve was still rising. Sometimes you just can't cure stupid. No vaccine for it either. Now, stopping what we're already doing would cause another spike. Would it be this big? Smaller? Bigger? Who knows? I believe we will have a second spike no matter what we do, but how small or how large, or rather how deadly, will be determined by when we lift the interventions. If we do it too soon, it'll be bad. If we do it at the right time, it'll be much, much better. Now, if the government could get their act together about testing, we'd have a much better chance of predicting the right time. Listen, this sucks. I get it. I don't like it either. God knows what this is doing to my kids, even though they seem to be handling it okay. I don't need God to tell me what this is doing to my business and my bank account. Don't forget, Sloan Kettering tried to kill me last fall, and I missed almost 3 months of work. Then I was only back for a little bit more than 3 months when this thing hit. I want to reopen everything. I want my kids in school again. I want them playing sports with me watching. I want to have a few beers and see the nerds at Jenks on Memorial Day weekend. Most of all, I want my business back. No one wants it to be back to normal more than me. Heck, I want it to be back better than normal, because after this, maybe some folks will decide that it's better to take care of themselves before a crisis hits than to just hope and pray during the crisis. The point is, no matter how much I want to reopen everything, if we do it now, we just wasted all of the work we just put in. Reopen too soon, and you might as well just have pissed away the last 4 to 6 weeks. That right down the drain. Back to square one. Well, maybe back to square 1.5, but you get what I mean. Hang in there. Stay the course. We will get through this, okay? If we use our heads. To quote Bob Marley, every little thing is gonna be all right. Take care. Stay safe.